we're off to another flying level in the bog level, which this one's a bit weird because it has like its own separate area specifically for one of the collectibles, and then the rest are kind of on their own.
Oh,
This-
oh god!
this
god,
one,
Ryan,
I hated
Ryan,
this
what, Oh
one.
my god, Ryan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh my!
I'm
Oh my!
sucking at
Oh!
this.
Oh my
I'm
god!
drunk.
What exactly were you trying to accomplish there?
That was
I
torture.
think Ryan just wanted to give us an analogy of how fast life can spiral out of control. Spyro out of control.
Oh no!
Well, it's too late. It already happened.
Ah, god damn it! You just barely missed that one. I mean, no, go for the no.
it's not-
Oh
this
man,
is-
I hate these stupid.
I remember
Well-
what's weird about the flight levels. They sort of get easier, kind of, as you progress.
A
Like
little
this
bit.
one, I remember. I feel like this one's not too, considering there are different sections for each item.
I felt
It's, like,
like this
easier
is
to
one of the
manage.
ones I spent the longest on. Now that I'm thinking about it, for whatever reason.
Does have
It's a
like
li-
the best music track. So,
I'm a little too stressed out to listen to the music in these levels.
Oh, you could have done the loop-de-loop, Ryan.
I don't want to do the loop-de-loop.
Why not?
The loop-de-loop wastes time.
But
Loop scare me.
It's cool.
Rule of cool doesn't matter if it's actively detrimental to what I'm trying to accomplish.
That is quitter talk, Ryan. All right.
That was
You
bad.
just, but Ryan, you just summed up what the rule of cool is. You know,
Well, no, you can do something to have it not actively be detrimental to you.
no, if you're showboating, you are being detrimental to yourself. Fact. That's how it works. You're doing it because you are absolutely sure that you can get your goal accomplished in spite of the added difficulty. You know.
Yeah, rule of cool is the speed running of video games. Wait,
No, I mean real life.
video games are real life.
if you die in the game, you die in real life.
We're not there yet. Are we?
I
No.
hope not. Because I die in video games way too much for that for me to want that to happen.
Well, then the difficulty in games debate would change real quick.
You didn't. You didn't grow. You experienced a hollow victory and felt nothing.
Oh my god, no!
But I didn't. But I didn't die.
God needs to respect us gamers and install an easy mode for human beings.
John,
Real
they
life
did. It's
is
called
the Dark
America.
Souls of life.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's not wrong.
How is real life like Dark Souls?
You live through a
hard.
meaningless existence, punctuated only by dread and grimness.
And then when you're depressed, you drink a lot, which is your Estus flask.
Oh my god!
So
I think this got too real. This turned into depression and drinking.
No, look, I want to run with this. I want to see how far we can take this. So,
I was
Oh,
gonna
so
make a
so-
joke because
so
I
we're
don't
in
like Dark
literature.
Souls. I was gonna be like, it sucks.
So we're in literature course now.
Oh God, there's probably like an actual school out there that teaches a video gaming equivalent of a literature course.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
probably
there's
there probably
there's
is.
there's already like 50 YouTube video essays
About how
on the
Dark
topic
Souls has a
itself.
deep story because it just doesn't bother to tell you the story. Because that makes it deep.
I'll give Dark Souls its style though. It's like it doesn't shove its story in your face, but the story is there. It's like Metroid Prime, actually, you know. Except instead of
It's-
text blurbs, you actually have to think about what you're seeing and what it means.
Yeah, it's more about it's not just environmental storytelling, it's also just the items. Like every piece of thing that you can pick up in that game has a bit of lore to it, and you just gotta pick the pieces up and put the pieces together.
You found the
I just
king's
like doing that.
underwear in 1796.
It's like, oh,
Okay, dude.
It's also a history
okay, that's
course.
not a Dark Souls thing. That's more something Baldur's Gate would pull. Like, there's like a special pair of pantaloons that you can find somewhere with a story behind it. There's also a useless accessory called the Girdle of Masculinity / Femininity or something.
Oh, that's a real D&D item that swaps your gender if you put it on.
Oh, really? That's from the tabletop game. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that. You can find it pretty early on in Baldur's Gate 1.
Yeah, and gameplay-wise, it's just a means to change your character.
Yeah, it's one of the items that they included because they do that thing that a lot of older Western RPGs do, where they don't actually identify magical items until you either used them or had an identify spell cast on them. So all you know is that it's a girdle and that it needs identification. And if you put it on without actually identifying it, well.
Party mage, cast an identification spell on this object. It's just a gold coin you found on the ground. I need to know what it is. It's currency.
Hey man, the last time Jack Sparrow took one of those without checking what it is, he turned into a skeleton.
We found it on the side of the road.
Is it a penny or is it a nickel? You know, you have to assess whether or not it's worth picking up or not.
Just look at it.
Because in Dungeons and Dragons, if you're finding like copper coins, it is actually most of the time not worth it to pick them up because they weigh just as much as a gold coin, but they're only worth 1/100th of that. So it's don't bother.
It depends on where you are and how early in the quest you are.
Yeah,
No, at least in most modern games, you're not bothering with copper ever. You start off with gold.
Fortunately, in computer and PC and console games based on those kind of systems, the coins don't actually weigh anything, and they just sort of tally up your total rather than keeping track of how many goddamn copper coins you have.
Unless you're Zelda.
Which has always been kind of dumb because a 20 rupee takes 20 times more room in your wallet than a green rupee, even though they're the same dimensions.
Yeah, Zelda does the exact opposite and just gives you the total of individual green rupees that you have account for. Whereas in say Dragon Age, you might have 100 gold coins, 26 silver, and 1 copper. And for all you know, that entire amount might be comprised entirely of copper coins, but it's not going to tell you that. So.
Well, you mean it's hard to go to the nearest Dragon Age ATM, you know, and get that stuff checked out, you know.
No,
the service fees are ridiculous.
The old Coinstar.
Yeah. If they're even work, say, hey.
Yeah, I can just imagine it.
My swear jar is huge.
Why don't you just go to the bank where they don't charge you anything?
I can just imagine this scenario where I'm a Grey Warden and I'm questing to save Ferelden from the Archfiend, and like Sten is just standing behind me all grumpy and growly, and I'm like, just hang on, Sten, I need to change all these copper coins for silver and gold, otherwise, you know, I'm not going to be able to make it to the next campsite. Come on, have a heart.
Unless you want to lug the 65 extra bags we've got.
Sten is big enough to do that, okay?
That doesn't mean
okay,
he wants
you
to.
can do that then.
Look at the fucking Doomsday Dragon here, man.
He's a big boy. What?
And it's immediately sapped away.
Where did the bell sound effect come from for when he thumbs it up?
I don't know. It's the
It's
same.
magic.
I mean,
It's
the
all
same
magic.
place where the glimmering sound effect happens when you smile and your teeth glimmer for a second.
Well, that's just a Chip
Does
Skylark
does
thing.
that actually happen to you in real life? That's never.
Wow,
not
John,
happened.
John,
No.
I didn't know that YouTube gave such good dental insurance.
Fuck no.
Well then,
You don't want to see my smile.
how do you pay for those pearly whites?
I don't. I don't have pearly whites.
You just hope.
Yeah, I just hope. Brush my teeth and open my mouth.
Yeah.
That would have been
Beyond-
way cooler if you hadn't missed 2 of them on the way through.
Yeah, I like to play overly cautious on these things because one slip off on your turn and you're falling right off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I
level's
know.
a pain too because of those frogs.
Yeah. This is probably the second least favorite level in this game because of those frogs.
Oh, I remember this level now. Yeah, this level's a pain in the ass.
Well, just exploring isn't bad, it's just the damn frog enemies.
It's hard to remember which levels correspond in the remake to the levels in the original game because sometimes the visual upgrade is just that good.
Oh yeah, though there are some areas where you just straight up cannot tell the difference, or at least I can't. You know, it's weird. Like it's hard for me, I think, to go back to the original Spyro's graphics after having seen this remake. And for some games, that's actually not always the case. Some games I can appreciate the original graphics for what they were, or in some cases I like them more. Like, I know this isn't exactly the kind of game you might be thinking of, but I still hate the HD sprites in Ace Attorney trilogy, and I don't think I'll ever like them.
No, I agree.
Or most of the HDifying sprites Square likes to do for their PC and mobile ports, which always look awful.
That too.
After
yeah.
I got over the shininess of the Street Fighter 2, HD remake thing, I actually found myself wanting to go back to the original version rather than playing that one. I'm not really sure why.
Is that Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Championship Edition? Like, is that the actual name of it?
It is. Well, it's like
something like that.
Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's all very nice. It's all very nice looking, but something about the way the HD sprites work makes it look like a Flash game in a way.
Well, it's because the sprites are so detailed.
But they also only
visually,
animate the way
they only animate based off of the original sprites.
Yeah, so
otherwise the game would change pretty hard.
Yeah, it would change dramatically.
So you've got sprites that are better than Street Fighter 3 with the animations from Street Fighter 2.
That's actually the exact issue I have with the Ace Attorney sprites, because they have fewer frames of animation than the original DS sprites. Well, actually, no.
That's
GBA
worse.
sprites, technically.
That's worse than what I'm talking about. This is like they wanted to keep the game exactly the way it was, but so they
And
only
both
have
of those
as
are by
many frames as
Capcom.
the game
Imagine
originally
that.
had. I do like the overclocked remix versions of the music, though. Like, give me those any day. If the entire game had the ability to change back to the original graphics rather than just the sprites, I'd probably be fine with that.
If the Ace Attorney HD trilogy sprites moved with as much fluidity as I would say, I think Apollo Justice for as much as that game.
Oh no, the sprites are way better.
The sprites. Well, it's not so much the sprites, but the sprite animations.
The animations are really
better.
good in that. Like, you can see that as early as Rise from the Ashes, though, because that was a DS exclusive.
Sure.
Case.
Yeah.
And you can see in that game, like, they were just showing off with like every strand of hair on the lunch lady's face, moving when she flips her hair, or the individual shaving bits coming off of Jake Marshall's beard. And, all of that kind of stuff. They were showing off, Especially since if you go back... Oh, so speaking of Apollo Justice, in the flashback sequence in Apollo Justice where you see
I was
GBA
about to
sprite
ask,
Phoenix,
is there a wizard in
buddies,
Apollo Justice?
There's magicians, but
Yeah.
there's a flashback sequence where you have Phoenix Wright in his original sprites, and
It
they're
looks
completely
weird.
unchanged because he's right next to Clavier, who has a completely new set of sprites that are way better animated. And it's like, he looks like
Yeah,
he's drawn in
Gumshoe's there,
MS
too.
Pace.
Yeah.
Missing 4 gems.
You did pretty good. That was probably like the hardest section in the entire game, and it only took you 3 tries, so that's pretty good.
No, that's easily the hardest part of the game right there.
Yeah.
It's like not even close. Well,
Everyone
as far-
says
as far as-
treetops, but no.
as far as dealing with enemies goes, treetops is an entirely different kind of difficulty.
You don't have the dragonfly.
I think I did enough for today.
I saved and then killed myself just to get sparks back so I could hunt down the
Yeah.
remaining gems.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's not
yeah.
worth trying to do it on your own. So they're over that way.
So he always faces the direction of the remaining gems.
No, you have to point him.
The sparks
It'll-
points can point you there.
Yeah, if you press in on the left stick, I think it is.
Yeah.
But this was something that they had to add for the Spyro 1 because it wasn't in it originally. And they also took it. Oh, it was a power up in Spyro 3 that they made back into being an innate feature. So I
Yeah.
don't. What happens when you were supposed to unlock it?
I don't
in
remember
Spyro
actually.
3 in this.
I do
really
not
don't
remember.
I really don't go back to Spyro 3, so I haven't played the Reignited version yet.
But it really works for this game because a lot of it, the game is so detailed now. Sometimes I just lose gems in the grass because I couldn't see. So the game is almost too detailed, so it needed it.
It figures the gems would be right next to the exit portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ryan always menus out.
Except for when I need to.
Well, I mean, you didn't technically need to there. You could have picked them up and then went into the menu.
I could have there, yes.
So, yeah, take
Get off
that.
my back, man.